Teachers descended en masse on the Oklahoma State Capitol this week, bringing their demands for increased education funding to a legislature they say has ignored them for too long. Despite legislation approved last week that would provide raises and put some additional money into the classroom, teachers say much more needs to be done to fix the problems that continue to plague Oklahoma's public education system.
Overcast skies and temperatures in the 30s did not discourage teachers or parents from making the trip to the Capitol on Monday as they packed the parking lot and South Plaza to demand further action on education funding. The legislature last week passed a $474 million package that will provide an average $6,000 pay raise for teachers. But Jill Davis, a parent who brought her daughter to the rally on Monday, says it's not enough.
They passed a little bit of money for raises. They've since taken some of that back. But the most important thing, it's not just about the raises, it's about the kids. So we want to make sure that the kids have enough money or there's funding for the kids.
Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers AFL-CIO, told the crowd it was time for the legislature to listen to their message.
And you have knocked on their doors, and you have asked them nicely, and you've been willing to be exploited. And instead, they've given to the oil companies, but not to the future. That is what this movement is about. It's about creating for the future instead of for the billionaires.
Oklahoma Education Association President Alicia Priest said the thousands of people who came to the Capitol this week spoke with one voice.
We stand together. We are all a part of making our schools and the future of this state great.
Priest told the crowd that while the package approved last week was a good first step, it fails to provide adequate funding to repair years of neglect.
Unfortunately, the legislature turned around and immediately repealed some of the funding streams, including the hotel motel tax. That leaves a $50 million hole in funding their promises. They must close that gap.
Closing the gap and fixing shortfalls left by House Bill 1010XX has been the theme of both legislators and teachers this week. State Representative Scott Inman told House colleagues on Monday that failure to do so would not satisfy teachers who have packed the Capitol all week.
What they're being told is take what you got last Monday and go home. But they know, and you and I know, that that's not enough. That if all that happens this session is passage of last Monday's bill, then we're going to come back next year. The teachers' pay raises won't be fully funded, so they'll have to rob money from someplace else.
Each day, Inman has moved to suspend House rules to allow a vote on Senate Bill 1086 to repeal the capital gains tax exemption.
Senate Bill 1086 passed out of the state Senate in a bipartisan vote 30-9, which would bring about $70 to $100 million into the state by eliminating the capital gains exemption and using those dollars to backfill the $150 million hole that was created in last week's historic teacher pay raise.
But Inman's attempts have been repeatedly blocked.
I want everybody in the gallery to understand what I asked for was 5 minutes which is within the rules, to stand up and appeal the decision of the chair. And what the floor leader is doing is trying to silence my debate. And so the folks in the gallery need to understand.
Representative Inman, you'll suspend. Representative Inman, suspend.
Mr. Speaker, you keep cutting off my microphone. You can silence me, but you won't silence them.
Representative Inman.
State Representative Jason Dunnington believes the capital gains exemption repeal would pass easily if it were allowed to come up for a vote on the House floor.
Democrats have said that we would give all 28 of our votes in order to move that forward. We would only need 23 Republicans to join us in order to, bring that extra $100 million into the fold. Give us more stability in what we're trying to do with funding for education.
The exemption is clearly a hot-button issue for lawmakers and others. The Oklahoma Farm Bureau is opposed to repealing the capital gains deduction, releasing a statement which read, in part, removing the deduction would effectively add a capital gains tax when farmers and ranchers sell land or other capital assets, placing an unfair burden on rural Oklahomans who often rely on their land investments for their family's livelihood. The Oklahoma Policy Institute responded with a statement saying, this tax break was never intended or designed to support agriculture, and the 5-year holding period for qualified property means that most cattle operators already do not qualify. Instead of helping ranchers or small family farmers, 2/3 of this deduction is taken by just over 800 wealthy households who have no responsibility to report how they use their benefit. Meanwhile, the ongoing teacher strike is obviously taking its toll on some lawmakers.
There's high emotion because folks in this building are getting a lot of blame this week. And there's a lot of folks that don't take that blame very well.
That was evidenced earlier this week when State Representative Kevin McDougal expressed his frustration in a Facebook post recorded on the House floor.
Let me tell you something. I voted for every teacher measure to fund them all last year. It took us a year and a half to pass it. And now they come into this House and want to act this way. I'm not voting for another stinking measure when they're acting the way they're acting.
McDougal later put out another Facebook post tempering his earlier remarks, but opinions about the teacher walkout have remained largely unchanged this week. The OEA on Wednesday released a survey conducted on April 2nd and 3rd, which showed that 68% of those polled favor the current school walkout and protest, while just 30% are opposed.